what I'd like to do is just have a very brief go-round, and I really mean brief, like 30 seconds each. And then I'd like to introduce Rebecca, our wonderful guest, and have her do her presentation. Rebecca's going to talk for, what, 40 minutes or so? Rebecca, yes? And then have question and answers, or interactive. You tell us what you want how you want to do it when you get going.
Okay.
And we can have a little socializing and chatting and networking, whatever, afterwards. And we're going to end at 1 o'clock today. So it's an hour and a half today. And that's pretty much the format. So let's do a little go round. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves and just say a brief little bit about you. And really, please keep it very, very, very short, okay? Because we want to get to Rebecca. So I'm going to go around my screen in the order I see you, and we'll start with Mona.
Oh, okay. I'm Mona Baker, and I'm so glad to be here. And what I do is I help my clients create an ease of moving freedom. That's what I do. And if they may be athletes, they may be dancers, whatever. It's lots of fun. And I'm having a lot of fun nowadays just moving on to online. I have a course called Knee Recovery Blueprint. I've run several sessions, and my participants think it's really fabulous. And I didn't know I could do movement on the internet. And it's just been a great medium. And also gave a presentation. So I'm moving outwards and upwards and having lots of fun. So
that's great.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you. Frank, short intro.
Okay, this is Frank Levy. I'm basically just getting back into the real world right now. I've been spending a lot of time with family and things like that, and I'm trying to see where I'm going really at this point in time. I have been involved with the school grants and also Sarah and Stan with the Station 2 Innovation. I've done a lot of helping connect different people.
Well, welcome back. I'm glad we're part of your transition back into the world. Welcome. Thank you. And Judy?
Hi, I'm Judy Carr. I do systems coaching and leadership development with school districts, and I also do some trauma-sensitive yoga and end-of-life doula work that's kind of on the side. I moved to Colorado last September, and the pandemic changed all the reasons that I had moved there and bought a house, so I sold it and came home. So I am glad to be back. Although, with this medium, I could have participated anyway. So thank you.
You would like to have stayed there if you had known that?
Well, I moved there because my grandchildren were there, but the pandemic led to them having to move 2 hours away. And, so
right.
They're going to be 2 hours away. I might as well be in Sarasota.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Ellen?
Hi, Leslie. I'm Ellen Brennan. I'm a former member of the Greater Sarasota Coaches Alliance, and I haven't been actively coaching in a couple of years, but I still like to attend the meetings once in a while. So thanks for inviting me, Debbie.
Well, good. I am delighted to see you. We're all delighted to see you, so welcome back.
Okay.
Hi, Gail.
Hi, everybody. Gosh, it's nice to see your faces. So I'm Gail Condrick. I live on Longboat Key. I am a Carolyn-based sacred contracts archetypal consultant and a creativity coach, author, and now offering online creativity and writing courses.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good morning, Robin. If you're not speaking right now, would you mind muting yourselves, please? Thank you. Robin?
Hi, thank you, Leslie. Yes, I echo. It's lovely to see everyone's faces again. I've been a member for the last 3 years, but this year I haven't been an active member. So I guess what I do principally is work in the field of organization and human development and community development using appreciative inquiry as my foundational approach. And I teach AI online, and I also podcast about this topic.
Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Nina, AKA Martina, on your screen.
Yeah, that's right. I have to change that in my settings. Thanks. So it's great to see you all, even though it's just virtually. Hey. Yeah, I've been a member of this group for a couple of years. I'm actually not directly a coach, but maybe indirectly I am. I'm an instructor in the Mumma College of Business at USF, where I teach finance and real estate courses. So to me, teaching and coaching is very closely related, and I have learned a lot of very valuable pieces of information from all my co-members here in this group, and I want to thank you all for that.
Wonderful. And suddenly your identity has changed, if you'll notice.
Did you do that?
Yes. Poof. All right. Jackie, thank you, Nina.
I'm Jackie Simmons, and I'd like to first thank Leslie for being a speaker on the summit this weekend.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. It was a wonderful experience.
We held the suicide prevention show, and what's occurred in my world is a shift where my company, Success Journey Academy, we now provide training and support around the area of suicide prevention, not intervention, total prevention, targeting specifically parents of 14-year-olds, because that's an age where there's a huge spike. And the wonderful things that are coming is that people are starting to bring their messages forward more and more. Those that have survived have stories that are incredibly inspiring, and those that have strategies that help in any area of life can come on the show. And I've launched a podcast and all of these other things going on.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Phyllis?
Hi, I'm Phyllis Muffson, and I work as a career coach, primarily helping people who don't know what they want to do next, and also helping coaches, consultants, and other solopreneurs build their practices. And I'm certified as a life coach, but also as a RIM practitioner, which is how I met Rebecca. And she was one of my instructors. And I'm now part of a group that meets every morning, Monday through Friday. And Rebecca leads us in one of these RIM meditations that we're going to do today. And she's been going for months and making up a new one every day. So very creative, very enjoyable, and has been saving my bacon, that and swimming during this lockdown.
Wonderful. Thank you, Phyllis. And Deb?
Hi, Deb Mazzaferro, coaching and consulting for the specialty food trade. Broadcasting to you today from the mountains in North Carolina, where I've been since August 1st.
Wow.
So I'm enjoying the fact that we're Zooming rather than being in person. I'm not missing the drive monthly back and forth to Sarasota from St. Pete. And it's also very nice to see people I haven't seen in a long time. Yeah. Ellen, Judy, Cheryl, still trying to show her picture, I think. Right. Yeah, and Frank's been out of touch, and Robin, nice to see you. Some of us have been every year. I see some people have changed their hairdos and let it grow out and da-da-da-da-da. So interesting. I'm going to put up, if everybody would put in the chat, if you're interested, I would be happy to do a monthly luncheon update on what's happening in the food industry. If you're interested, it's not exactly a coaching thing, but we all eat in restaurants, we all dine out, we all grocery shop, and it's one of the areas that's really been disrupted. So if y'all want something like that before the end of the year, I'm happy to do it as a regular monthly thing, or I'd be happy to put something together as a additional topic.
Would you want to do that in the meetings or on the newsletter, or what are you thinking?
I would like to do it as a PowerPoint in the meeting.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yep.
Well, why don't you all just send some emails either to Deb or to coordinator,
You can just put it in today's chat if it's a good idea, if you think it's on topic or off topic, and then we'll take it from there. I don't want to, do something that feels like it's not within our GSCA messaging.
If anyone is unfamiliar with it, just put your cursor down near the bottom of the screen and some controls will pop up, and one right in the middle says chat. Click on that and the chat window will come up, and you just type at the bottom of the chat window and then hit enter, and poof, it will appear.
And I must say that the weather in the mountains of North Carolina is not what I was expecting. It's been just as hot, just as muggy, and just as rainy as Florida until yesterday, when I finally had a gorgeous day and could go outside.
Well, we've been having lots and lots and lots of rain here, so. Okay, everybody, I think, Cheryl, I don't know if you can hear us because your screen constantly says connecting to audio. So if you can hear us, you might want to click off and then come back in, or go to your audio settings and choose your computer audio or headset or whatever you're using. If not, we'll just leave it. So I want to introduce Rebecca, who has been patiently waiting, and I'm going to unmute you. Can you unmute yourself, Rebecca, please? Thank you. So Rebecca, I'm waiting for it to come up on my phone screen. Hang on. Rebecca MacLean, is it MacLean or MacLean?
It's MacLean.
MacLean is a certified master facilitator and trainer of regenerating images in memory, and she's a breakthrough coach. And what she's going to be, she teaches therapists, coaches, and individuals how to clear traumas, emotional baggage, and unconscious unhelpful beliefs quickly and easily. And you can get a lot more information about her at www.macleanlifecoaching.com. It's MacLeanLifecoaching, MacLeanlifecoaching.com. So that said, I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca and take it away. Looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I put the link in the chat if anybody wants it. So thank you so much for having me. I too am glad I'm in Colorado, so I'm glad that this is virtual. It gives me an opportunity to be here with you. Thank you so much, Phyllis, for inviting me to do this. So you may be wondering, what is regenerating images in memory? And it is an emotional processing tool at its core, and how it is different than other techniques and strategies is that it, at its basis, it trusts that people are whole and complete, and that their emotional operating system is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, and we help facilitate that emotional processing that our bodies and minds are trying to do. So, and the way that it does that is we're going to have an experience today, so you'll get a little flavor of it. This is going to be different than what I would do in a typical one-on-one session. So in a group session, I would do a lot more leading on, what might be coming up, a little bit like a guided meditation. However, in an individual session, what we would do is everything that is happening in the session is led by the client, which is way different than a lot of therapies, a lot of coaching, a lot of techniques that are happening out there. And the reason that this is successful is when you follow the client's unconscious mind has so much information about what is really happening underneath. So we may not even be consciously aware of some of the reasons that we're making decisions. I'm sure all of you in your businesses, in your coaching, working with people, there's, strategies and goal setting and all kinds of different things that are happening. And you just feel like the client is just running up against a wall. They're not able to follow through, or they can't pull the trigger on something, or they can't make a decision about something. And I think all of you are experienced and know, and you just sort of feel that there's some sort of emotional component to that, whether it's overt or not. And when there's those emotional components, they're a lot of times not conscious. And every decision that we make is an emotional decision. It's based in our emotions. It's based in our experiences and our beliefs. And a lot of those beliefs are there because they're protecting us from things that we experienced before. So what this technique does is it allows the client to, it's a closed eye experience, typically, it doesn't have to be, but it's a little bit like meditation where you're almost hyper aware of what's happening. You're closed eye, but you're turning inward and focusing on what's happening inside of you. And you, as the client is speaking the whole time in these individual sessions, and we're just following where that client is going. So where they store their beliefs in their bodies, and allow us to see what they are, and if they're helpful, awesome. If they're not helpful, then we help to resolve and change them. So how does it work? The easiest way to kind of just get a feeling for how it works is to experience it. So I'm hoping you all are really willing to play with me today. It's really helpful. I've taught a lot of coaches and therapists, counselors, that when their client gets to an emotional component, it helps them just very quickly and easily go in and resolve that so that they can move forward in your program, whatever your program is. And if you're interested in learning how to do this technique for yourself, I am a trainer and I teach this work so that you can incorporate it into your work. There's also RIM facilitators, me included, that do referral work. So if it's not something that you want to learn, but you know that this is something that's happening for your clients and it's a stumbling block for them and they're not able to move forward, then RIM sessions could be, we call it RIM for short, RIM sessions could be something that can be really helpful. They don't take a long time. A lot of therapy is 6 months, 20 years, and this is 1 to 3 sessions. Sessions are usually about 2 hours long. So it's a very quick and easy process to help them move through things. Let's go ahead and let's just go ahead and play. Somebody just close your eyes. Just take a breath. And just notice how that breath is entering your body. Are you breathing through your mouth? Are you breathing through your nose? Can you feel the air coming in? Let's give that a minute to just notice where you are. Is your breath deep or shallow? Just noticing what it feels like as the air fills up your lungs. And what it's like when that air releases from your body. Just feeling that continual process of in and out, expanding and returning. And just being aware of your body and how your body is reacting. And now with your next breath, just allow your awareness to follow your breath all the way down inside your body. And wherever it goes inside your body is perfect for you. There is no wrong way to do this, and there is no more right way to do this. That whatever is happening for you, even if it doesn't match what I'm saying, is exactly right for you. So you follow what you are noticing. You follow what's coming up for you. So knowing that there's no way to do this wrong, just feel what it feels like as you're inside your body. And then just allow your imagination to call forth a resource, something or someone that is safe, loving, and powerful, something that provides you protection, someone that provides you guidance. And whatever that resource is, just pops up like that. Just notice what it's like to have that resource there with you. Even if that resource is your breath, an older, wiser you, a deity, an angel, a wise and loving ancestor, whatever is coming up for you is perfect. And just notice what it's like to have that resource there with you. Notice how it feels emotionally. And then speaking directly to your resource. What I really need help with, what I would like to know is, and still speaking directly to your resource, because what it would be like for me to know that from your resource would be, because how it feels for me now is, and anything else that wants to be spoken to your resource, go ahead and speak it now. And how it feels to say all this to you, resource, is, and then easily moving your awareness from yourself into your resource, looking through your resource's eyes, listening through your resource's ears, sensing your resource's body, and looking from that perspective back at yourself. And as you look from that perspective of the resource, just sensing all that's been spoken, all that's been expressed by yourself as a stream of colored energy that's moving from you to the resource. Noticing what color and quality that
1-800-947-HOME. And the Music Emporium, design sellers for 50 years, celebrating the enduring presence of music from and
Thank you. So just sensing as you were looking back at yourself from your resource, noticing that energy of all that's been spoken, noticing what color it is, noticing what qualities it has, and how and where it's entering your resources body. And feeling that energy that's coming from self to the resource. As it enters the resource's body and fills up the resource, fully received, fully accepted, feeling what that feels like. And when all of that energy is fully received by the resource, looking from the resource's eyes back at self, and speaking directly to self. Self, what I have received from you, what I have heard you say is, and what it feels like for me to receive that from you, self, is, and still looking out of the loving eyes of the resource back at self. Self, what I want to tell you is, because what I know about you, self, that you don't know about yourself is, and what I want for you, self, is, and self, what I can see getting in your way is, and what I know is on the other side of that is, and anything else that the resource wants to say to self, go ahead and say it now. And how it feels to say this to you, self, is and how it feels for me, your resource, to be your resource, is and now easily moving your awareness back to yourself from the resource, looking through your own eyes, listening through your own ears, sensing your own body, words, and emotions, and looking back at your resource and sensing all that has been spoken by the resource as a stream of colored energy that's moving from the resource to you. Noticing what color it is, what qualities it has, how and where it's entering your body. And then fully receiving that energy, feeling it enter your body, feeling it fill up and expand and express throughout your body. Just feel that as it moves throughout your whole body. Feeling it expand. Allowing every single cell of your body to be filled up with this energy, even extending beyond your body. And then speaking back to your resource. What I have heard you say, resource, what I have received from you is and how it feels to receive all this from you, resource, is and what I know that I didn't know before is because what I'm realizing about myself is and what it's like to know that you're with me, resource, is and anything else that wants to be spoken to your resource, go ahead and speak it now. And how it feels to say all this to you, resource, is now allowing that interaction with your resource to end in any way that feels good, even if it means that that resource is always present. Just allow that to happen in whatever way feels the best for you. And then becoming aware again of your body. Feeling that energy that was received from your resource as it moves throughout your entire body, in every single cell, in every wrinkle of your brain, pore of your skin, every muscle, every bone, even in your blood that's circulating throughout, perhaps even extending beyond your body. Noticing what it's like to now be able to breathe in this space with this energy. Does it feel the same or different? As you take a breath and allow your body to expand and return. And then your body will let you know that all this beautiful work that you've done is anchored all the way down into cellular memory, even down into your DNA. It's anchored in your subconscious mind, flashing millions of times every split second without you even thinking about it. And available in your conscious awareness, able to be retrieved at will. It lets you know that this is done by bringing full feeling back into your arms, your legs, your fingers and toes, normal awareness back into your mind, your body, your brain, awareness of the call that you're on. And when it's complete, you'll open your eyes. Welcome back, everyone. If you're still processing and your eyes are closed, that's okay. Just allow it to be in your own timing, trusting your own body. So I'd just like to take a little round of sharing. Who would like to share first? What did you think of it? Leslie, I'll start with you. Thank you for muting the people that came on, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, somebody keeps popping in and on under different names. I happen to be in a coaching mastery program right now, and as an adjunct to that, I'm doing a little bit of inner child work, which is very good and powerful and intense, and this dovetails with that really beautifully. So this was a really lovely, for me, gentle extension of work that I've been immersed in literally the last few days.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised at the resource that came up, which is a discarnate guide that I've been channeling since 1971. I connect to do readings and sessions for other people all the time. And I don't connect that often for myself. And this was connecting for me.
Yeah, how did that
information, which was very cool. Oh, it was really nice, very cool. Very good. And as usual, very simple and profound at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's a soft quality about the way you did this that I find really helpful because it's easy to just flow with it. And it's not, challenging and deep and all that. So this is just a really good experience for me, and I don't have other ways to verbalize it right now.
Well, thank you for sharing. Thank
Sure.
you, and especially for
Anybody who wants to talk, please unmute yourselves and then mute yourself when you're done.
Thank you for sharing that. There was a couple things I wanted to touch on that you said was gentle and flow. And that's one, it does dovetail with many different techniques very nicely. And that gentle and flow is because it is your experience. So this is a co-creative experience, unlike a guided meditation that tells you, you know, like you're getting in a boat and you're going, right? I'm not saying what you're experiencing. I'm just allowing that experience to happen. It's already happening for you. So we're really co-creating with your emotional operating system. And that's what makes it feel so gentle and so much flow. And also there can be a giant amount of work that happens in that super simple space. So thank you for saying that. Mona, did you want to share?
Sure. It was a beautiful experience for me. And yes, you facilitated the room. And the resource, it happened to be my father. And my father died when I was very young.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I loved him. And I think of him often, but I never had this connection as him becoming such a resource. And it was something I really needed. And to have this beautiful, colorful, rainbow color energetic exchange was so beautiful, something I can really take away and have. So this was a priceless moment for me. I am so grateful. Everything that you said just made a beautiful moment and a beautiful experience for me. I thank you so much.
I'm so glad, Mona, and you brought up another point too, which it created a memory for you. So our bodies don't know the difference between something that's well imagined and something that happens in our physical life. So this experience to your body and your emotional mind is an experience that you had just the same as if you had met and talked to somebody on the street. So, so that's part of the foundation of this process, is tapping into that natural part of us that allows our imagination to regenerate our images and memories. So regenerating and creating that relationship with your father is so beautiful, and I'm so glad that you were able to experience that. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much for sharing. Any other shares? That I'm not going to make everyone share if you don't want to, but Phyllis.
Just recently, I've been feeling like 85%, like just not as purposeful or creative. And so I met this giant, like many, many times bigger than me, eagle that was also an angel.
Mm-hmm.
That just kind of infused me and gave me some instructions for staying connected and excited about life while I'm more isolated.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And you can see this, so this kind of group experience is different than an individual experience. You never know where the experiences are going to go. When we do individual experiences, they're usually about an hour and a half-ish long. I usually schedule about 2 hours. And you can see how just with these 3 examples, that there would be so many different places to go, which I can't do in a group because I'm not getting the feedback, right? So I don't know that Mona's talking to her father, and we could explore that much deeper based on what is coming back from you as a client. So in these individual sessions, they're completely client-led. So I would change my sentence leads based on the feedback that's coming back. If you're talking to an eagle about creativity, or if you're talking to dad about, giving you some insights and connections. So they can go, I never know where they're going to go, and you can't really prep for them. So that's part of the beauty part, is that we're tapping into this unconscious awareness. And our unconscious mind is like a giant computer that remembers not only every event, but it remembers how we felt about it. And it creates beliefs and sort of these underlying in the background programs that are running. So a lot of times our younger experiences are foundational experiences because they're the first time that we felt that way. They're the first time that we experienced that. And so we create a program that runs, or a rule, or a way of protecting ourselves, or a way of thinking of the world to try to make sense of it. And then as we go through life, we kind of collect evidence that our belief is true. And sometimes those beliefs, many times, those beliefs are very helpful. Like, don't touch a hot stove. That's really helpful, right? But there's sometimes that we have experiences that we call traumas that are not as helpful. And the reason that they're called traumas is because it's something that we were not able to process at the time that we experienced it. So if I was lost in a grocery store when I was 3, and the belief that I kind of created was, I can't trust myself. I can't trust to be with people. I have to really make sure that I stay close and I stay very aware next to someone. That was the belief I created. And then I kind of, as I went through life, created this belief that I needed to stay really close and hold on to people quite a bit. And that translated into relationships, that translated into all kinds of different things. But what I realized is when I go back and do a RIM session, I can regenerate that image in memory, having all the awarenesses and all the knowings that I know now as an adult, bringing in resources, creating a lot of safety, that then I can look at that situation as a third party and I can really get a different perspective on it. And I can see what else happened beyond that belief. I saw that my mom was the next aisle over and she came back and she got me and she picked me up and she loved me. And so then I can regenerate that experience in a way that is emotionally helpful for me. When we experience a trauma, something that we can't process at the time, there's the actual memory, so like the facts and figures, what happened, and then there's the emotional component that globs onto it. And when it's not processed, they stay together. This is why when you have an experience that brings up an emotional reaction to you, maybe if you're working with clients and they had an experience that was similar to your own and you have an emotional reaction, that's because this is not processed. So what this process of RIM does is allows you to go into those memories, release all the emotion that was generated at the time that didn't get released then. And then it allows you to regenerate emotional memory into that. So now I think about going to the grocery store as a 3-year-old, and my body and my emotional mind and my subconscious mind knows that I'm loved and people come back for me, which is a whole different feeling than feeling like I have to hold on to people so that they don't leave. So all traumas work the same, whether they're quote unquote big T traumas or they're little t locked in the grocery store traumas. They all work the same. So we don't have to fear any of these. It's all the same process that moves through your body. So what questions do you guys have for me, or comments, or if anybody wanted to share? That was a lot. I threw a lot at you. Any questions about how this works, Jackie? I see you smiling.
Well, the body of work of emotional processing is an area that I play in as well. And I just partnered with people who are bringing neurogamification into emotional intelligence learning for kids at 3 up and boardrooms, organizational development level. So it's a conversation that is being had around the world now, where emotional resilience is like the most valuable skill in corporate America. So where is the practice of REM, and I'm used to it as the individual one-on-one work, is there something that is coming into for organizational development that I might want to create a partnership for you all with the people I'm working with?
I would love to talk to you more about that. Dr. Sandella, who is the one who developed creating images in memory, she is working with school systems and creating programs for teachers and administrators for them to be trained in this work, so that, because a lot of my work is working with middle-aged people who have these kind of things, like with the people that you were working with, and you were talking about 14-year-olds specifically. So going back and regenerating images from when they were 14. And they have all of these years in between that they carried that unnecessarily. So we are working with school systems to be able to use this technique to be able to process in the moment, so that these aren't things that people have that are considered to their body a trauma. We help them move through right in the moment. So she's worked with a lot of schools that were involved in school shootings, and helping to process for the people that were in the school systems, parents, teachers, those kinds of things that help them. So yes, we would love to talk to you about what we can co-create and how you can use this technique. There are several trainers. Many of you may know Michael Klein. He's there in Sarasota, and he teaches classes in Sarasota and teaches this technique. He's actually one of my mentors. So he's a great one to take classes from. And I would be happy to share any information about how to get in contact with him. We do some online one-day personal work kind of things, and also we do training in person on how to learn this technique to use with clients. So any of that is possible. It's a very, very flexible tool, and you know, like Leslie said, it does dovetail very nicely with a lot of soul retrieval work. It's great with coaching, because you know how they come to you with a specific thing. I want to work on this. And like I work with a lot of health and wellness coaches. And so people come with weight issues. And weight is something that's very emotionally based. And so when people come, they're talking about diet and exercise. And then they get to a point in the program where about week 3 or week 4, where then suddenly it becomes really hard. And so I will partner with coaches in that way, where I just do individual RIM sessions, maybe 1, maybe 2, with those clients to help move them through the emotional base of that. And then they can continue on successfully with the program. So,
Rebecca, if you don't mind, I just want to ask a question. Phyllis, do you also do this kind of work with clients?
Yeah, with my clients, you know, it might be like if I'm doing some onboarding work and somebody's not getting along with their new supervisor, I just pop them in and do a session, and we
So I
resolve whatever that is. But I also get referrals, and both from other coaches and therapists, but I've also gotten some from medical, chiropractic, you know, on resolving physical pain.
Thank you. The reason I'm asking is I want to let people know that in addition to Michael, you are also a RIM resource in Sarasota if they want to do some work. You're available, yes? No, yes?
oh, I think she froze.
Phyllis' screen just froze. So she's in the temporary thinking mode. But anyway, Phyllis.
It's a great pose. I mean, if you're going to freeze.
Phyllis, if you can still hear us, your video froze. But I just want to let people know that I'm aware that Phyllis is also a RIM resource here in Sarasota.
And she is fantastic.
Yes.
And yeah, so and most facilitators, I say, will do, most facilitators do their work remotely. So all of my work, with the exception of very few, my classes are in person, but the individual sessions are all done remotely. So we do them over Zoom, and as you just experienced, it's because it's not about a rapport between the facilitator and the client. It's about the rapport between the client and themselves. And that's what makes it powerful. But that's also what allows it to be done remotely very easily, very easily. Yes, Phyllis.
This is Robin. May I jump in?
Yes, please.
Great. So it was a very beautiful experience for me also. So thank you, Rebecca, for leading it so gently, is the lovely word that Leslie used. So my question is this purely an individual process? Because I'm thinking of, you know, collective narratives, you know, in terms of historical harms and cultural, you know, cultural issues that we're experiencing, you know, the constructs that we have created culturally. Is RIM able to be used in that kind of collective environment?
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Yes.
Great.
So one of the beauty parts about RIM is that it's very flexible and very fluid. So it flows nicely into that type of work. And there's quite a few techniques that we teach specifically in our certification level program that talk about ancestral and cultural, even archetypal type work. And it also works across all faiths and beliefs. So because it's client-led, whatever's happening for the client within their own belief system is what's happening for the client. So there's no layered on beliefs. There's no, like when I said a resource, it could have been an angel. It could have been grandma, could have been dad, like Monique experienced. It could be a tree or something of nature. So whatever is happening for that client, so it makes it very flexible. But yeah, we do that kind of work as well. And it's whatever is showing up for them. So, but yeah, we do that kind of work. It's not prescribed per se. You know, we don't decide what a session is going to be before we go into it. But if that's where the juice is, if that's where the issue is, if that's what is asking to be resolved by the body and the subconscious mind, then that is absolutely what can be resolved. Does that answer your question?
Can I ask a question to clarify? So let's say Robin or any one of us is conducting a group, and Robin brought up like a social issue or a group issue. Could you frame a context up front that in general, this is the context, this is what we're looking to process. And then you go through the RIM process. Everybody's way of dealing with that issue is personal. But you have set a context that this is kind of what we're going to look at as a group, but we process it individually. Would that work? Or does that oppose the RIM process?
No, it's a little bit more like what I just did, like a group experience that's a little bit more guided. So it's more like a RIM meditation or a RIM group process rather than an individual session. So we go very deep, very quickly when we follow the client, and we resolve things very quickly, but we often use it as a group. So like Phyllis mentioned, Monday through Friday, every morning, we do RIM meditation, similar to what we did here. Now this one was focused on a resource. So I guided that it was about a resource. I, prompted a resource to come in and to have a conversation or a dialogue with that resource. So that was prompted, and everybody had a different experience about what that looked like.
So for example, Robin could set a theme or like a meditation and guide a group through it that would be relevant to what she's working on with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So say, for example, that this community or this group, this collective was dealing with the issue of fear, or social injustice in some way, and it was named. So would you then facilitate a group process that we're all reflecting on that? And I think what you just said, Rebecca, that, when you introduced resource, so you then could introduce something different that people are collectively working on, and then you can process that and maybe find things that might be useful, not only for the individual, but for the group as a whole, if they chose to
Right.
listen to each other. Is that, am I getting it?
Yes, and so any group is individuals. It's made up of individuals. So when we do our own work, it leads to the whole. So if I were to, I would probably, just me personally, and other facilitators, Phyllis, you may have an opinion on this. If I were talking about a very specific cultural issue with a group, I may not bring up that specific issue in the session, but bring up the emotion that comes with that. So, so for example, I might say, so when the
So
word
fear is an emotion, right? So fear is, yeah.
so the fear, and finding out where the fear related to that is in the body, and then experiencing that. We can also go and speak to anybody that needs to be spoken to. So if people are feeling an issue with somebody or something in their environment or their life, then we can create that dialogue through imagination. And then that helps to resolve it. It helps to get perspective and quite a bit of compassion. So that often happens in our sessions where there's compassion that happens between individuals, between parts of self, all kinds of different components there. But absolutely it can lead into that, and it can be created. I have on my website, which I put on the chat, and I'm not very good at multitasking, so I'm not very good at following the chat while I'm talking. But
you don't need to follow the chat. We're all paying attention to you.
But so on my website, you can find out more about classes if you're interested in doing this work with your clients and helping them move through. You can find out more about meditation. So this is what Phyllis was referring to. So you can do a 2-week free trial and see what you think if you like. But there's also on my website, on the meditation page, there is, I believe, 6 different meditations that you can kind of get an idea. Now, granted, these are like the group experiences, which are different than a full session. I do have on I think it's the What to Expect page, you can listen to a full session. It's an hour and a half, so it's quite the commitment if you want to, or you can scroll through it, but you get an idea of how different and how deep and how intense that work is, that can happen in an hour and a half. One of our trainers was a psychologist for many years, therapist, and I asked her, I said, I don't have a therapy background, so why did you pick this? You've been trained in a lot of things, a lot of different modalities. Why do you use this? And she says, because I can do in an hour and a half what took me 6 months to do before. So it's very powerful and intense. And if you're interested in seeing what a full session looks like, you can watch, I think there's 3 different full sessions on my site. And of course, feel free to check out the meditations, try them out. You can see, to your point about being specific about specific topics, they do have specific topics. One that I did right at the beginning of this pandemic was I was talking with your immune system. So just having that conversation and creating a relationship with your immune system. So there's different, it can get really creative and different, but feel free to check those out. There's those 6. I think there's even a link to YouTube, my YouTube channel. There's like 20 more. So feel free to check those out and see what you think, and contact me if you're interested in doing something specific for your work. Jackie, if you're interested in partnering or, getting ideas or how this could help your work. I would love to talk to you about that. So I totally lost track of where we were when we started and how much time we have. So you keep me on track, Leslie.
Yeah, we have about 20
Okay.
minutes or so left to the meeting, so this is wonderful. I think let's just keep going. If anybody has some questions, let's do 10 more minutes and then we'll take 10 minutes for just general conversation and hi, how are you? And we'll end at 1. This is a little bit shorter meeting than usual because we're still getting into the swing of things and getting going, but does anybody have any other questions or comments for Rebecca? Reactions? Observations?
Rebecca, I just looked in the chat and your addresses are no longer in there. So I was going to ask you to put them in again.
They're there. You have to
I'll
scroll
grab
up.
it, Phyllis. You got bumped out, so you can't see them. They're still
Oh,
there. I'll put them in.
Okay.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Rebecca, this is Cheryl Running. I just have a question, and I really don't want to come off negative, but it might be, and I certainly don't intend it to be negative, but I'm also a social worker, and I'm just really worried, and maybe I don't need to worry. I'm sorry, that's my husband at the ice machine. When you're dealing with this, have you ever had I think it's wonderful, but have you ever had a client that because of maybe a psychiatric issue or something like that, that has caused them harm?
It is contraindicated for personality disorders. So anybody that has trouble discerning fantasy from reality, it is not designed for those people. So we do screen people that are doing that are having full sessions because it is not. However, it does work great for depression. It works great for anxiety. It works great for all of those sort of just, I don't know, I can't seem to like Phyllis said, like I just feel like 85%. Like I just can't, I just can't get, I really want to get there, I can't get there, right? A lot of the reasons that people hire coaches to start with or go to therapy. So, but yes, good question. And it was developed by a psychotherapist, Dr. Sandella, and she's very mindful of that and how it is. And because it is so client-centered, the client will never delve into something that they are unable to resolve. So, so we really trust that subconscious mind and what's happening for the client. And we also hold them, we know that they're whole and complete, with the exception of, you know, like you brought up a few that have some personality disorders or something. But it really is, it's very, very safe because they are creating their own safety.
Oh, great. And one more question, and you might have said this, but I started a little late and I apologize.
That's okay.
It seems like this would be really helpful for PTSD. Is it?
Absolutely. It's absolutely complex PTSD as well. It's very, very helpful. It helps to resolve all of those, working with soldiers. A lot of soldiers are fearful about reliving and re-traumatizing themselves because that's some experiences that they've had talking about it. And so that's why they stop talking. And this allows them to have that safety. There's a lot of safety valves that are built into RIM, and it's a huge part of our training that allows them to go back. And many soldiers, I'd say of all of the soldiers that I've worked with or people that have experienced or have been diagnosed with PTSD, very rarely do they go back to the event that they consider their traumatizing event. Most often they go to an event prior to that and resolve that. And then it has a compound effect. It has a domino effect toward the trauma that they consider their traumatizing event. So it's been wildly powerful. And there is a study that was done by one of our master facilitators on PTSD and the power of RIM working with that. So Good
Rebecca,
question.
one of the modalities that I was trained in many years ago was a holographic model, and it happened to include reincarnation therapy, past life, and all that, but it doesn't have to. But the idea was that it doesn't matter where in time a trauma occurred. They're all layered into each other. So you can access the same core trauma, whether it's a birth trauma, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, interlife, past life, no diff. It's the same trauma. And so when you process that core trauma, it releases all of them. So I can understand that they wouldn't go back to the incident. And Cheryl, that was a great question. And I also think there will be I would imagine it'd be a small group of people who self-select who won't do it the way you want them to do it. So you can't do it with them, in addition to personality disorders. So that's another group that you'd know not to try and do it with. We're running, actually we're doing well. We've got 15 minutes, so let's just keep going.
I wanted to speak just a little bit further. Like if someone has anxiety or depression, not a mild case, but a deeper case, Dr. Deb suggests that they also be on pills. And you can do RIM with them without that, and they'll have a great experience, but they won't be able to hold the change. You know, they'll feel relaxed and happy, but then they'll slide. But once they have their blood levels to the right point, then you can actually help them resolve the issues that are driving the anxiety or depression.
Yes, so good point. Thank you, Phyllis. A lot of depression and anxiety medications keep people from getting those highs and those lows. So it sort of separates a little bit that the experience from, so that it doesn't stick. That's what they want. They're trying to keep from happening, is to keep. And so then when we do a RIM session, they feel really great, but it doesn't stick around. And RIM is a permanent thing. So once you experience that experience, Mona, you're going to remember that experience with your dad. It's like it happened, because in your body it did. And so, but when people are on medication, sometimes then it doesn't stick because of the medication. So that's something to work with them on, and their doctor. And obviously we're not going to ask people to go off medication without, but this is something that helps that quite a bit. But we do run into that occasionally. I'd say maybe 1% of the time of the sessions that I've done, people will report back that I felt great, but now I'm kind of back in the same slump. And sometimes it's because of that kind of medication situation. But a lot of my clients have been able to get off their medication, depression and anxiety medication. So, because it's resolving the issues that are creating the turmoil on a regular basis.
Yeah, there's so many modalities. The somatic intuitive training that is the certification route that I took many years ago, works in very similar ways as far as creating safety and working totally within someone's direct experience and their own ability to feel safe and to create that sense of safety for themselves. Sometimes that in and of itself is a game changer. Just for someone to have the experience of being able to create an inner sense of safety.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Jackie, I would love to connect you with two facilitators. One is someone whose son took his own life, and she is a RIM facilitator and does a lot of work, same kind of thing with suicide prevention. So I'd like to connect with you with her, and also a licensed professional counselor that works in the schools. She's hired through the Department of Defense. She works with military families in specific, but works in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And, so both of those would be really great connections. And how to integrate them.
I think you have a contact form on your website, so is that the best way to reach out to you?
Yes, and yeah, you can just go there and you can find my address here. I'll put my email address in the chat.
Oh, sure.
So that everybody has it. If you want to get a hold of me, there it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I could talk for days and days about all the different ways that you can use Room. I had one student who she worked as a web designer, and she said her biggest thing was she was so frustrated with clients because they couldn't decide what they wanted on their website. She's like, just decide, I'll make it happen. And she went through the Room training and found that how helpful it was to get to the emotional root, right? So a lot of it was, I'm afraid of success. So they see this website coming together and they're like, well, I don't know, and should I, and what about, no, and just questioning everything. And so then her business as a web designer was able to shoot up because she could resolve those things with people very quickly. Like, okay, so what are you feeling? And let's resolve that issue of success, or resolve the issue of indecision, or resolve the issue of worthiness as people were moving through. So there's all kinds of ways to use it.
Well, Rebecca, this was just wonderful. I can't thank you enough. I think everybody's really, give you a little silent round of applause. Thank you so much for doing this. This is a wonderful, wonderful session, and we really appreciate it. I just want to take a couple of minutes to ask everybody if you have, quickly and briefly, if you have some good news or something you'd like to share, or even if it's not good news, something you'd like to share about what you're doing. Very briefly, I just want to say that I'm taking some new directions, and I literally just started a new Facebook group page, which I invite you all to join. It's Dr. Leslie Austin on Facebook. I don't have the link handy, it doesn't matter. You can find me as Dr. Leslie Austin on Facebook. There's no content up there yet, but there will be soon because I've been busy lately. And it's going to be really interesting and a lot of fun. So please do feel free to join. I'm doing a lot of things. I'm dealing with difficult people, but expanding out to a lot of other areas. So that's it. And anybody who wishes to share, please be as brief or more brief than I was. Thank you.
I'll go next then, because I have two things I'm celebrating. And one is that we received our 501c3 for the Teen Suicide Prevention Society this week. And the other is that I received the prototypes for the neuro gamification of the advocacy coaching program. So we will be playing the prototype games, and I'm super, super excited. So those are my big wins, is that we're taking self-advocacy to a coaching level where people can become certified as coaches.
Why don't we all just unmute each other so we can cheer each other on? Anyone else?
I mean, that's really exciting, Jackie. And I just wanted to ask Leslie to just say a little bit about our next program.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Phyllis actually inspired this session and the next one. My life partner, Margie Haas, did a presentation at the Florida Creativity Conference last March called Joyful Activism, in which she challenged all of the ideas about what does it mean to be an activist, because so many people are fighting against things and are angry, wanting to do good. And she just flipped it on its head, and it was sold out, and it was incredibly powerful and popular. People really loved it. So she's going to do an updated new version of that, of Joyful Activism, at our next month's meeting. And obviously, because I'm wildly biased, I will be facilitating that. But then after that, please, we'd like to invite people to help out by facilitating future meetings. And we'll be announcing more speakers at the next meeting. And we do not as yet know what we're going to do for our Christmas party, whether it'll be an online, you bring your own drink and snack, or God willing, it'll be in person. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. So yes, the third Monday of the month in September, Margie Haas, she just started a new website and a Facebook group, wayfindingthecosmos.com. Wayfindingthecosmos.com. And it's extraordinarily beautiful. It literally just went up a couple of days ago. So thank you, Phyllis. Anyone else have something they'd like to share? Gail?
So I just want to tell everyone that I just finished these 2 online writing and creativity courses, and as part of it, one of the things that I'm getting in the evaluations is how much things like this are valuable to people. The connections, the seeing the faces, and as much as the course, you know. And also it's created, one of them is called The Art of Observation, and it's a way of looking at life and looking at nature and things. And we introduced a practice called soul collage, which I was trained in several years ago. And I'm diving back into that, and I find it very helpful, and be happy to talk to anybody who's interested in that.
Maybe write something for the next newsletter, which reminds me, all of you, please feel free to submit little articles about what you're doing or anything that's interesting to our newsletter. We need to get it to me, and I'll filter it into our virtual assistant several days before the last week of August. So it's coming up. But if you'd like a little article or notices about what you're doing, please send it in. We'd love to have more variety in our newsletter. And Jackie's really good about getting attention by sending in articles. So she needs help. She needs other articles getting in our newsletter. Nina, were you going to say something?
Yes. I was wondering, have any of you heard of the company Conscious Transformation and the book called The Inner Matrix by Joey Klein? Rebecca, I know you live out in Colorado. They're based out of Colorado. So maybe you've heard of them?
Nina, can you speak closer to your microphone?
Yeah,
I
can you
wasn't
say it
sure
again?
what you said.
Is this better?
Yes, much.
Okay. Has anybody heard of the company Conscious Transformation and the book The Inner Matrix by Joey Klein?
I have not.
No.
I mean, it sounds familiar, but I don't know anything about it.
Okay, so a friend of mine had turned me onto the book, and so I highly recommend it. The Inner Matrix by Joey Klein. And since you are all coaches, you might want to look into this. I have to say, the way that Joey Klein has built his program with connecting people is just amazing to me. And I use some of the techniques he uses now for my classes. So what they do is, you read the book, and then they have these facilitated 6-week classes where you have an apprentice who facilitates once a week. You get together in a group, you work through the book. It's like a book club almost. And then if you like, what you have learned, and you then move on, and you can sign up for paid classes. So the facilitated 6-week initial class is free, and then you pay. And this there has been a special for $200. I've gotten all these classes. It's mind-boggling. I mean, it's like such a deal. And so I did the first class. These are weekend classes. There are 4 of them. They're called Power Off. So I did the Power of, Power of Emotion. And that, they say, is one of the most important ones. And I cannot tell you how much I learned from it. And I've done all kinds of classes and Buddhism and all that stuff all these years. This has given me tools to deal with my anxiety. And it has been so helpful. And every time I feel this coming on, I use it. And I really haven't even had one anymore. But yeah, so there's power of emotion, power of intuition, power of focus, and power of vision.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you so much.
Something you may want to look into. He also has an apprentices program, and then people who are apprentices can also become trainers. So I've now connected with one of his trainers. There's only one trainer in Florida, and he's in Jupiter.
Boy, there's an abundance of modalities that are really good between RIM and this and other modalities that we all know. There's really a lot of riches out there to help support people to deal with their issues.
This might be a really good piece that fits with the RIM as well. But
yes, right. It sounds
RIM
like
it goes back in time, and this kind of explains why you're the way you are now, and then how to move forward. And it's incredible, very powerful.
Thank you.
A couple, I found 2 bad comments about him, but I guess that's pretty much always the case, And but I'm sure I know he's helped many people. In fact, I saw it in front of my eyes. I mean, it's kind of like that movie with Tony Robbins. Have you ever seen that documentary about Tony Robbins? And turns people around right there. Oh, it's a very good documentary. I mean, I saw this happening in front of my eyes. We had maybe 50 people like this that had their videos on and I'd participate with him in an online session. And then it might have been 200-300 that were got me. I was scared. I didn't.
Oh, thank you very much for sharing. Anybody else before we wrap up? Any other, Phyllis? No? Anyone? I want to thank you all so much for coming. Rebecca, this was wonderful. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. This was a great experience.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. It was such a pleasure to meet you all and to make all the connections. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Phyllis, for plugging me into this wonderful group of people. I really appreciate it.
Thank you again. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please tell everybody to join us next time, since these meetings are still free, since they're online for now. And third Monday, 11:30, next month of September, another wonderful meeting, Margie Hahn's Joyful Activism. It's going to be a real upper, so come.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, Leslie.
Great.
Thanks for making it happen.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you.